Rosie, James, and the coal. James is a bright red engine with shiny red paint. He likes to do his best, to look his best, and to show the other engines that he knows best too. And he wants everyone to know that he is the smartest engine on the island of Sodor. And the most hard-working. James thinks he's the most splendid engine ever. It was winter time on the island of Sodor. Snow was all over the tracks and all through the fields, and it slowed down some of the deliveries, and all the engines and people and buses were delayed with their deliveries. The Fat Controller came to see his engines at Tidmouth Sheds. "James, I have a special for you." "Oh, what is it, sir? Is it pulling the mayor? I'd love to do that." "Oh, no, James. You will be working at the coaling plant." James was upset. "The coaling plant, sir? That's not a splendid job at all." "Yes, but it's a very important job. Otherwise, you steam engines can't work without coal." James didn't want to work at the coaling plant all on his own. "Who will be working with me?" he whistled. "Another engine will be coming to help you. You shall see when you arrive," boomed the Fat Controller. James puffed angrily away. He wasn't happy about going to the coaling plant at all. When James arrived, he could see trucks upon trucks upon trucks as far as the eye could see. Then they began moving. "Who's moving them?" wondered James. It was Rosie, pushing the cars about. The cars were having a splendid time with Rosie. James couldn't believe it. He was very overwhelmed. "Rosie, what are you doing here?" "Hello, James. I'm happy to see you. We have to get to work." "I don't want to work at the coaling plant. It's not a suitable job for an engine as splendid as me. My paint will get all sooty." "Like yours." "It doesn't matter if your paint gets sooty," said Rosie. "It matters if you're a really useful engine." James knew that Rosie was correct. "So, let's get to work," said Rosie. "All right, but I'm not going to shunt any freight cars. I'll load them, but I won't go under the hopper. That's your job, like a silly little tank engine." "All right," said Rosie. So Rosie and James began competing to see who could shunt the most trucks. James biffed some together, then Rosie followed behind him, but Rosie is a fast engine and she was working very hard. "This is no fun," said James, biffing into one truck. "I've never had not as much fun pushing a freight car ever." "You'll see," said Rosie, biffing the trucks into place. "It is very fun, but maybe you're not so useful as me." James was offended as he watched Rosie shunting the trucks happily together. James was in disgrace. He felt exhausted. Then the yard manager arrived. "Rosie and James, the Fat Controller would like the two of you to shunt an extra special load of trucks of coal together and take them all across the island of Sodor, delivering them to stations and sheds. Please be on time and please work fast. You must get them delivered by the very end of the day." "Yes, sir," said Rosie. "You can rely on me. James and I will work happily together," she said. "Come on, James," said Rosie. James didn't want to. "You said I wasn't useful," he snapped. "I'm sorry," said Rosie, "but you have to know that if we don't get the coal delivered, everyone will be cold in the winter time. There are lots of trucks to shunt, so come on, James. Let's get ready to go. The Fat Controller's delivery is waiting." So with that, Rosie and James were now biffing and bashing their trucks into place. Rosie was working very hard. Her cheeks were rosy red. They were as red as James's paintwork. James knew that Rosie was right, so he backed down onto his trucks. And soon, they had a long line of freight cars ready to go for the stations across the island of Sodor. Rosie and James puffed through the castle tunnel. and over the trestle bridge and the highway line. Come on, James, cried Rosie. We can do it, we can do it, said Rosie and James, soon working together. Rosie and James were having a splendid time, and so were the troublesome trucks. Rosie tooted her whistle loudly. Come on, James, we can do it. James knew they could, so they started wheeshing down the lines as quickly as they could, passing through all the stations, delivering as much coal as they could, and making the other engines feel happy to see them. It was very cold and the wind blew fiercely, but Rosie and James soon only had one more delivery to make. They were very tired and felt very exhausted, but they knew that they would be extra happy when they had finished all their work. The next morning, Rosie and James were at Tidmouth Sheds, waiting to go. The Fat Controller arrived. Rosie and James, I am very pleased with you. Although you were having a little trouble in the yards, you both made up for it by working very hard to deliver the coal on time, and early, might I add. No engine has ever worked so hard with another. I know next time to always pair the two of you together. James was pleased. Thank you, sir. I hope you will always pair me and Rosie up. So will I, said Rosie. James is a pleasure to work with. You know what, Rosie? You're not so bad after all. You do know how to handle those trucks. And James, you do know how to go very fast, said Rosie, and that is a very great thing. Maybe we're good on our own, said James, but we're best when we work together, puffed Rosie. I can't wait to work with you on another special.